Everybody, and welcome to Health Coach Tip Tuesday. I'm your host, Jess Del Pino, and this week I will be talking to Brandy Buskow. We'll be talking about FDN and how it helps fertility. How are you doing today, Brandy?
I'm great. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, it's such a great topic because we have so many people in our community that utilize what we do to help people with fertility issues, because fertility problems come from bodies working, right? Like you would think it would also translate into that area, right?
Absolutely. And the nice thing about what we do as FDN practitioners, it helps everything. So we don't focus on the diagnosis because that's not where our backyard, that's not what we do. But the beauty of what we do in FDN is by looking at the body as a whole and treating things non-specifically, it can have an impact across the board. And fertility is definitely one of those areas.
Most definitely. I also wanted to let everybody know, in case you joined us last week and the rest of this month and next month, all of our speakers are going to be people who are a part of our upcoming educational symposium. You definitely want to check that out. You can put a comment below and we'll send you some more information about it. This is a fantastic event that is highly focused on educating from FDN's perspective how we get results with clients. So you'll be learning from other FDNs. And each one of the topics that we'll be discussing kind of goes through our FDN protocol, which is called Dress for Health Success. So we'll be covering diet, rest, exercise, stress management, supplementation, and then practical case studies also on how you can utilize that, including business topics as well, and other trends that are specifically geared toward the practicing practitioner and FDN. It's really a unique experience and opportunity to share knowledge and expertise with the whole health community and other industry professionals, as well as helping with your personal and professional development in a highly interactive environment, as it will be completely virtual. If you're not sure if this is for you, you definitely want to check out the website. It's fdnsymposium.com. And just to name the kind of people that are going to be joining us and other like-minded professionals will be health coaches, holistic nutrition professionals and students, nutrition educators, chefs, registered dietitian, personal trainers, medical professionals, doctors, physician's assistants, naturopathic doctors, mental health counselors, physical therapists, and so much more. The event will be held on October 1st and 2nd, again, all online, so you can join us from anywhere. And really, it's such a great event. For 2 days, you're only paying $129. So make sure you comment below, check that out in the description, so that way you guys can find it. And with that, Brandy will also be there doing a session, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I really want to jump into our topic for today, which is how FDN helps with fertility. So yeah, let's get started.
Sure, absolutely. So as I mentioned off the top, the nice thing about FDN is that we don't focus on diagnosis, and we look at the body as a whole, and we uncover all of the different healing opportunities within a person. And so with a lot of people, each person has their own kind of weak area or their weak link. So for myself, anything that has to do with, weak links in the chain, so to speak, or my metabolic chaos, it triggered anxiety or digestive issues. I know just for you specifically digestive issues, but for some other people, they may be fine with their digestion, or so they think, and their mood is fine, but for them, their cycles are affected. So by using the FDN principles, by doing those in-depth intake forms, by working on their lifestyle, and then running some of the lab screenings that we do use in FDN, we are able to make some really big shifts and changes that improve somebody's cycle and then improves their chances of either becoming pregnant naturally, or, if somebody is choosing to go IVF or whatever the case may be, we can set them up for success with higher chances of having a successful IVF cycle. So FDN and what we do definitely helps people, especially with fertility and cycles.
That's so great. And like you said, it's kind of an all-encompassing thing, right? So if you're specifically working with somebody who has fertility issues, kind of the nice byproduct is that they're going to end up with so many other great things that happen with their health. And vice versa. If they come to you, maybe they don't even realize they're having fertility issues necessarily, but they come to you for fatigue or weight loss or, some other symptom. That also might be a nice byproduct, is that they become more fertile and their cycles move better. Their menstrual cycles aren't as painful or drawn out. Like, there's so many other things than just getting pregnant that have to do with our fertility as well.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things to know is that for women, our fertility and the health of our cycles really are a barometer for our health. So whether or not you have people coming to you that want to become pregnant, maybe they don't right now, but they will in the future. And so by optimizing their health now, that is going to improve their cycles, and that is a sign of vitality and health for women. And I've worked with dozens of women dealing with infertility issues with all kinds of different diagnoses, from PCOS to endometriosis to premature ovarian failure. We've seen the gamut. And every time they come to me, I tell them, I'm not worried about your diagnosis. What I'm going to do is I'm going to step back and we're going to do the FDN approach. We're going to do all of the intake forms. We're going to take a look at your lifestyle, and we're going to run the foundational labs so we can see all of the different areas in the body, how they're functioning, and if there's some areas where we can make improvements or healing opportunities, as we like to call them. And I've had some women where, we've just made diet changes. That alone was the thing that got them their period back and they got pregnant. I've had some other women where we've had to really, really work on stress, like type A personalities working in a high exec job, and they're just stressed out all the time. And just taking the time to actually feed their body correctly and go to sleep on time and say no and setting those boundaries, that was enough to give the body what it needed to bring their hormones back into balance. And then they were successfully able to get pregnant. Sometimes you'll see women who will come. I mean, I've had several who have had a lot of gut infections, and we know as FDN practitioners, that's not the reason that somebody's experiencing something, but just cleaning up those stressors. Maybe they had Giardia, or maybe they had H. pylori, and that is a stressor. And so by cleaning that up while working on the lifestyle, so diet was essential and rest was essential and movement was essential, all of those things improved their hormones. So when we retested their hormones, we didn't give them hormones. We just worked on the lifestyle. Their hormones improved. Their cycles got better. They started ovulating again, and they were able to successfully get pregnant. So when we hear infertility, we think, okay, you have to go to a fertility clinic. You need to be taking estrogen. You need to be taking progesterone. You need to be taking all these drugs. And that's not necessarily true for all people. And I like to educate the women that I work with, let's get you healthy first. Because if you're healthy first, then you'll have a healthy pregnancy. And then that equals a better postpartum. And that's the angle that I came from. That's how I came to FDN, is I really struggled postpartum with my daughter when in my second pregnancy. And I'm very passionate about helping women understand how important it is for themselves to get healthy before they get pregnant. So that postpartum, when you're already exhausted and you're not sleeping well, that's a big stress on your body. You're able to recover faster, and you're not just going to make your health issues worse. And that's where FDN beautifully fits in. It can help you preconception, and it can help you postpartum.
That's such a great point. And you made a lot of great points there. One, the health that you are in before you get pregnant can also help with how well your pregnancy goes, how well your baby will be through the pregnancy and once they're born, but then also postpartum. Like you said, it is such a stressful time, although wonderful once you've had a baby, but you're sleep deprived. That's massive. Whether it's you or your partner, or even if you have a nanny or whatever, like, you're always going to be sleep deprived. You're exhausted because of that. So your brain can't think properly. And if you're already so depleted prior to, like, you're going to end up feeling even worse. And then you have those problems with postpartum depression, and that can linger for such a long time. I've talked to women who, it's been years since they've had a baby, and they're still dealing with those postpartum issues because they never really got back that resiliency. They never fed those reserves that got eaten up, and they were probably already kind of at empty before they even got pregnant. So, then they end up on medications and all kinds of other issues. But also just the health of your baby. I talk to a lot of women who, they want to get pregnant and that's their whole thing. And I'm like, but also consider that you're bringing somebody into this world and you want to give them as much as you can to kind of be set up for a good life, right?
Absolutely. And that's a great point. And that's another thing that I also try to explain. I've seen personally, so I have 4 children. And so my twins that I had first, super healthy, really good immune system, really strong boys, because I prepared my body before having them. My daughter, I got pregnant a year after having them. My body was depleted. I didn't replenish all those minerals, all the things that I needed. She's got a bunch of food sensitivities now, and so we don't think about that. All we think about is my clock is ticking. I need to get pregnant right now, but it's absolutely worth the 3 to 6 months, even a year, if you can afford it, to really boost the body up, work with an FDN practitioner, uncover those hidden stressors, work on them, dial in your lifestyle, really learn how to say no, because if you can't set boundaries before you have kids, you're never going to be able to set boundaries afterwards. So getting yourself ready and prepared beforehand is going to go a long way, not only for your health, but the health of your kids, and then how you're going to be able to show up for them postpartum as well.
That is such a great thing. I think learning to say no is a massive part of anybody's health journey, but especially a woman who's going to become a mother, right? Like you said, if you can't learn to say no prior to having children, like just forget about the physical health, but the mental issues that come along with that, and then how you kind of translate that into parenting, and then teaching your kid then to say no later in life also. It's just like this domino effect that happens, right?
It definitely does. And that's why, not only are we working on the body, but we're there to kind of go along with the journey as well with you. And we know that, working on your health can sometimes feel uncomfortable, and it's not a linear, process. You're going to have your up days, you're going to have your down days. And that's where your FDN practitioner is there for you to turn to. We can say, nope, this is totally normal, or here's how to tweak this. And you're doing great, and look at all this progress that you've made since you've started. And that's the nice thing about having a practitioner. You could definitely go and try and do it on your own. And let me tell you, I've had lots of women who have come to me and they're taking all the supplements that they've heard on all the fertility boards, and they're saying, well, I tried the diet and I read this book and I took all the supplements and I'm still not feeling well and it's still not working. But because you're taking this general approach that wasn't specific for you. By working with a practitioner, we can help hone in your specific issues, help you work on them, and kind of design a lifestyle program specifically for you, where you will start to see progress. You will start to see improvements, and you're not taking bucket loads of supplements that you don't even know why you're taking.
Yeah. And that's such an easy trap to fall into, You're like, oh, well, I'll just try this thing. And you can't really tell if it's working, but then you're scared not to take it because maybe it is working and you just don't notice. And to have that like sort of person on your side that just goes like, no, we're going to cut this out. This isn't working for you. And to be able to run lab testing and really see internally, like, is it actually working? Can be such a beautiful thing to have on your side. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody who's watching, like, if you guys have any questions as we're going through, please drop them in the comments below, and we'll be happy to kind of answer anything you have in regards to fertility, working with clients that you're dealing with fertility issues, menstrual issues, anything in this vein that you guys have questions about that you want to ask Brandy or me, please drop them below. We'll make sure to get to those questions as we keep going through. So I kind of wanted to just take a step back and let's walk through what that looks like as an FDN when you're working with a client that comes to you specifically with fertility issues. What's the first thing that you do with them, Brandy?
That's a great question. So the first thing that we do is we have them fill out all of the intake forms. I want to see a full health history of everything that's gone on. What supplements are they taking? What have they tried before? Are they working with a fertility doctor? Because we're not here to replace their doctors. I want to be part of their whole health team, and I want to work in conjunction with them. So, we need to know, are you planning on having an IVF cycle in a couple of months? If that's the case, great, that might change what we do, because we're not going to, maybe we run a stool test and we're not going to do like a 90-day parasite protocol or something if you're about to have IVF in 2 months. So we definitely want to know what your goals are. Make sure that you're right for the program. Absolutely. We talk about that to begin with, because it does take work. And we can't have you thinking that I'll do this for 2 months and then I'm going to get pregnant. There's no promises. We can't guarantee anything, but we want to make sure that you're right for the program. Once we've done all of that, then we run the foundational labs. We look at all of the different areas. So hormones, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy production, nervous system. We use the FDN foundational labs, and we look into all of those areas to identify areas of healing or healing opportunities. And then we go through each of the lab results and we create a protocol for you. And we walk you through the entire process with a lot of focus on lifestyle. So diet is huge. Like we talked about rest and sleep. Exercise or movement. I've had some women come to me where they're doing CrossFit like 6 days a week and wondering why their cycles are off, or there's other ones on the totally other end of the spectrum. They're not moving at all. So we talk about movement. We really, really dig into stress. So for me personally as a practitioner, I also am an EFT practitioner, which means emotional freedom techniques. And I have found that for a lot of women dealing with infertility, there tends to be traumas or limiting beliefs there. And so we really work on that. As part of the stress piece, I also think it's important to get your partner involved, because it takes 2 people to make a baby. So if you have a very supportive partner that's willing to maybe do the diet with you and go to sleep on time and, support you through the process, you're going to get better results. So that's definitely part of the stress piece. And then the last piece is supplementation. And I like to focus on the basics. I've fallen into that trap of recommending all kinds of supplements, but it's really overwhelming and it's not sustainable for somebody. So what are the basic foundational supplements if you're trying to get pregnant that we want to recommend to you? And we start there and then we hone it in after that.
On that topic though, are there anything is there a particular set of foundational supplements that you would recommend to anybody, or is it always going to be individualized depending on who you're working with?
It's a great question. I mean, a lot of times it is individualized. I would say foundational. I mean, if you're trying to get pregnant, you want a really good quality prenatal. That's obviously really important. And not just the one you're going to go get at CVS or Walgreens or whatever. You want a really good quality prenatal. Usually vitamin D for all of my ladies is low, and that is important. So we'll look at vitamin D, usually some omega-3s. And the reason that that's important is you want to make sure you have plenty of those omega-3s for brain development, especially early on in pregnancy. So you want to make sure you've got that. I tend to usually go with a probiotic, digestive enzyme, and magnesium. I mean, those are basics for a lot of people just to get people started. And then we tweak it from there depending on what we find on the lab results. But again, remember, supplementation is supplementing what you're not getting from your diet. So
No, exactly.
And so like I said, I have people coming with all these things like, oh, I'm taking inositol and I'm taking CoQ10 and I'm taking all these things because they're good for fertility, and they may be, but maybe not for you. And so we tweak it from there.
Yeah. And I think that's something that FDNs do really well, right? Like I think every FDN that I've talked to has their basic toolbox, right? Whether it be, this is my basic idea for diet or rest or exercise, movement, stress management, and supplementation that anybody across the board can learn from. Like this is the stuff that you're posting on Instagram, that you're putting out into the world. Like vitamin D is a big one that pretty much anybody, magnesium, probiotics, like everything you just listed here that I have up on the screen, like except for the prenatal, I'd probably switch that out for a multivitamin for a normal person. But this is a pretty, like, I mean, most people should probably be taking most of this stuff anyway on a regular basis, right? Does that mean that they need more, or maybe some of this may be switched out for some other stuff? Yeah, most definitely. But that's why you need to go and do testing. That's why you need to have somebody go through your medical history and like try to find those things. Like as FDNs, we call ourselves health detectives because we're looking for patterns so that we can find the individuality and really tweak those things like you were saying. And I know that it's so easy for somebody out there now to go online and Google something or get on a forum and they start making lists of all the stuff. Like if I just do all of this, then I'll be good. But they might be missing some genetic factor that they don't even realize that they're dealing with, that they're not detoxing something. And so they need a little extra support. Or like you said, the emotional aspect of it, I think, is what more people are coming to understand now, plays such a big role in our health. And, you know, if you don't deal with those things, they linger for a long time and can be that block that even though you're eating all the right stuff, you're moving, you're, you know, resting, it's like, why can't I get past that plateau, right? So I'd love to hear a little bit more about the EFT and how you've seen that work with people, because that was what helped me, not EFT in particular. I've done some EFT, but just the emotional work in general was the next big sort of breakthrough for me with my digestive health. And I can only imagine as I keep going down that journey, how it will help with everything. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the trends that I've seen with the limiting beliefs, especially surrounding infertility and fertility issues, are things like safety. So not feeling as though the world is safe. So most people will come and they'll logically know like everything's okay, but then subconsciously something has happened. Or I mean, look at the world we're living in today. You know, subconsciously, you know, you might be thinking, do I really want to bring a child into this world? And sometimes your body really listens and said, okay, you don't think it's safe, then we're not going to let you do it. You know, so we can work on some of those limiting beliefs. One of the other things that I think can be really frustrating with people with fertility issues or not able to get pregnant is this also subconscious belief that their body is broken and they're kind of fighting against their body, because becoming pregnant is the one thing you can't control. Like as much as you want to try, you cannot plan exactly when you're going to get pregnant, whether you're going to have a boy or a girl, and what that's going to look like. You have to give up control at some point for that to happen. And so if you have been able to control every single thing in your life, but this thing you can't control, then you start to fight with your body. And then there's this subconscious back and forth fighting between your brain and your body, and they're just not working together. So that's where we can really dig into some of those limiting beliefs. And then oftentimes, you know, maybe there's some traumas going on. Maybe there was some losses. Maybe there's something going on in your relationship, and you're thinking, well, this baby will fix it. And your body's going, no, like we need to fix this first. We're not ready for that. So emotions can definitely play a big role. And I like EFT personally because it really helps me, and it can be really helpful to move you past those limiting beliefs and reframe your thoughts so that your body feels safe, and then your hormones can respond, and it allows you to become pregnant.
So how does that work with the EFT? Like what's the actual process? I know it's a physical thing that you do with people, right?
Yeah, so I like to liken EFT to emotional acupuncture. So we are focusing on a problem. So you'll go to your acupuncturist and you'll say, oh, I'm having this problem. And they're saying, okay, I'm going to put needles in this spot because it relates to this problem and it's going to help the energy flow. So we do something similar with EFT where we talk about the problem while tapping on acupressure points. And the premise is by tapping on those acupressure points, we're opening the energy channels and allowing the energy to flow. And what that does is it allows your body to acknowledge the feeling, process it, and release it. And when we do that, then we can open things up for us to reframe the situation. And so I can do that with people via Zoom. It doesn't have to be in person. I mean, we can definitely do it in person, but you can do it on yourself. And it works really well. Now, one of the things that does come up quite a bit is people will say, well, how come we have to focus on negative things? you know, and we've been conditioned to not say negative things out loud. It's like, well, if I say it, then it means it's true. So we've been conditioned to positive affirmations. And if I positive affirmation myself, I can get myself out of this. The problem with that is that if it's there, you can say all the positive affirmations you want, but your subconscious mind is saying, nope, that's not true. And it's not going to listen. So you do have to address the problem. But the nice thing with EFT is we can do it quickly and you don't have to feel uncomfortable and it doesn't last a long time. It helps your body process it in a quicker, safer, gentler way.
Yeah, it's kind of like that old sort of saying of just, if you tell somebody don't think about a blue box, all they're going to do is think about a blue box. So if you are trying to not think about something negative that's happening in your life, even if you're saying that positive affirmation, like you said, it's going to be over the negative. Like the reason you're even saying the positive is because you're trying to reverse the negative. But I've done some EFT work myself, and initially I felt a little uncomfortable, but like you said, it is very quick. Like to go through and do the tapping and say the thing, the more you say it, the less attachment you have to it. And it almost became to the point where I went from like crying to laughing just in a matter of minutes. And then I realized, I'm like, oh, wow, how ridiculous of me to be like this thing that was it seemed so big to me, just got reduced down. And then I had no attachment to it. Like in a matter of minutes, it was so crazy how quickly that worked.
Right. And this is a thing that I think a lot of, sometimes can be missing when you're working on your health is that emotional aspect. There's always some sort of emotional aspect with most people. And if you can work on it, you're going to get even faster results.
Oh, for sure. That's like you said, the reframing of stuff, like the changing of your internal monologue of how you are interacting with the world is going to also change the way the world interacts with you. And as you think about things, then your body physiology will change, and that's going to influence your hormones, and it's going to make it a lot easier for you to do the things that you actually want to do. So it's such a great thing to partner up with everything else that we do in FDN, right? We're so good at FDN of doing the physical, the like finding out what's wrong, like why isn't this functioning? And it's almost like putting oil into a car is dealing with the emotions so that it will actually run smoothly, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So, and we talked about the symposium off the top, and the exciting thing is we're actually talking about both things, emotional freedom technique and fertility. So we are going to have a fertility roundtable at the symposium on day 2. That means anybody who's interested in the subject of fertility and how you can use FDN, you can come and we can all talk and share ideas and discuss it. So that is great. And then we're also going to close off day 1 with a group EFT session just to kind of help calm everybody down and make everybody chilled out and help people to integrate all the awesome information that they got from the day.
And you're going to be leading that?
I will be, yes.
Awesome. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen how Brandy works, it's really amazing, and definitely want to check out the symposium itself, because there's so many great things that are going to be happening. But I love that we're already going to be talking a little bit more in depth about fertility on day 2 as well, especially as a roundtable, like just to have people kind of have a conversation as opposed to just watching something. I think I like that we have that a little split up this year. We have some talks where you're actually going to be listening to people talk. You can sit there and take notes and then overwhelm your brain and then have to rewatch it again later because it's so much information. And then we have these nice roundtables where you're going to get to hear people talk, but then you're going to also be able to communicate and listen and, get a little bit more interaction, especially since it's virtual.
And the beauty is that we're going to record it. So if you can't make it, you can listen to the recordings and you can pick and choose what you want to listen to, which is great. And I really love those roundtable discussions because you're really talking about one topic and everybody's bouncing ideas off of each other and saying, well, this is how I've had success. And it's like, oh, I never thought of it that way. Like, that's a great idea. So you can talk to like-minded professionals and ask your questions and pick their brain and just have a community feel in a virtual setting. So it's going to be great.
Yeah. It's awesome. I'd love to know if anybody who's been hanging on watching us today have any questions before we kind of wrap it up. We did go through quite a bit of different things when it comes to fertility, but if you guys have any burning questions, now is the time to ask. We talked a little bit about, kind of how fertility is more than just getting pregnant. You're talking about your women's hormones, also men's hormones too. Everything is kind of influenced by your lifestyle and what you're eating, how well you're resting and recovering, your movement, if you're moving at all, your stress level, whether it's outside of you or internally. That's where the lab testing can come out really well. And then supplementation, not as something to rely on, but to help facilitate the healing. Some of these things you're going to take for a short amount of time, and some of them you may take long term, but they're not meant to be a crutch like medications would be, right? Like, we don't want to fall into that trap. And we're here to kind of help people who might be trying a bunch of stuff like that. And then how we can couple that with emotional help through things like EFT or other emotional therapies that can really help get over those bigger humps, change your thoughts, reframe your brain, really prime you and get you ready to do what it is that you want to do in the next step, whether it's getting pregnant or just living your life more peacefully.
Absolutely. A lot to unpack there. And you're right. Fertility is, both partners. It's important for both partners. And there's a lot of people that are working with couples or partners that are looking to get pregnant, and they're using FDN to improve those chances. So definitely something, if that's what you're interested, that's your niche, I can definitely help you with that.
Yeah, most definitely. We have so many people in our community that do that. I mean, I've heard story after story of, oh, this person has tried so many things and they came to work with me and within a few months they were pregnant. Or, we worked on their health and then they did it in a much easier, better way down the line, as opposed to struggling and spending so much money trying this therapy or that thing, or, getting frustrated and feeling like it's my fault. They just kind of got past that, and then they were able to kind of move forward with creating a family and living a happy life. So it's really nice to watch and hear, and I love to see the stories in our community. It's very inspiring, just personally, because you're like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, we are such great healing individuals. Like, we just need to be reminded sometimes that we can do that.
There's nothing better than getting that email or that letter that's like, hey, this is the baby. I remember the first time I got that picture, I was like, here's the baby that you helped me had. And, I was crying because it was so amazing to be able to help somebody achieve that goal. And the reality is they did the work. We were guiding them. We gave them the tools. We helped their body do what it wants to do. Your body innately wants to be in a state of balance. Your body innately wants to heal. And so by us helping you get the tools you need and follow the lifestyle changes, you're doing that yourself. It's all about empowerment and education and a self-care model. We're not doing it for you. We are helping you achieve that goal.
So don't lie, Brandy. How many babies have you helped come into this world?
I mean, I don't even, to be honest with you, I don't even know. I know there's like 4 or 5 I know of for sure. But I just remember when I get those pictures, it's just like, it's like that proud moment of like, yes, like I was able to help them get to their goal. And
That's
that feels
awesome. Well, this has been fantastic. And I hope that everybody goes back and rewatches it, because we did leave some really nice little tidbits. If you're trying to work with clients, you can start using some of this info now, but you definitely want to get trained through FDN if you're not already, because the way we lay it out is unlike any other training out there. And we just really help you with a clear path on how to help clients. And with that, you want to make sure you also come to the symposium in October. You can see it up here on the screen, fdnsymposium.com. It is in the comments. Make sure you comment below. We will send you more info. Tickets are only $129, October 1st and 2nd, all virtual. Tons of great info, great connections with other professionals, and we will be talking about fertility there. And Brandy will be leading a fantastic EFT group session so that everybody can chill out after day 1 and really get ready for day 2.
Awesome. Looking forward to seeing everybody there.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Brandy. I look forward to seeing you again in October, and I will see all of you next week, Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern for Health Coach Tip Tuesday, where we talk about tips, tools, and resources to help your health coaching business. All of this month and next month is going to be focused on the symposium, so you'll learn about all the different talks that we have, and different speakers will be coming on with me, so you definitely want to check it out. All right, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next week. Thanks, Brandy.
Thanks, everyone.